the way they are putting it, it is a pure and true confirmation that they know where the serious campaign and the serious opposition might come from. And therefore, I think what they are telling us indirectly that they fear the deputy president. They feel that the deputy president should be the target. And I think it is very wrong for me to reduce a constitutional amendment of a national document to a contest between William Ruto, Raila Odinga, and other people.
And Gerald, can I say something?
Yes, please.
Now that Mucheendu has brought that up, it is an insult to think that Martha Karua is a nobody when it comes to matters constitution. It is an insult. It is an insult to think that when the likes of GERALD Bitok say and Boniface Mwangi and what we call these human rights activists, when they convene together and they come and they read a document and they aggressively pick out things that are flawed in that document, it's an insult to, actually an insult to the people of Kenya to say, oh, those are nobody, tunangojea Ruto apinge hiki tu. Because when you put the likes of Martha Karua side to side with William Ruto on matters constitution, on matters legal affairs, surely hapo heavyweight ni Martha Karua. And you know, the thing that I really personally I wish and I would appeal to the deputy president to oppose this thing. I'm one of those people who would want to see him going out like he did during the last referendum to oppose this thing, because I believe that is the right thing to do as a person who is standing and speaking for the hustler, as a person who's standing and purporting to share the views of the nobodies in this country. I believe and I hope that he would come out strongly.
But what if he doesn't, Gloria? What will you still do?
If he doesn't,
what happens to the hustlers? Because I was saying the other day,
no, you can't say that, because the hustlers are not baba yao si mmoja, baba yao si William Ruto.
Hustlers have several fathers.
We have many fathers. We have many fathers. We have many mothers. We have many sisters. Hustlers wasisikia ati maybe Ruto because of his walisema he is bound to his line manager who's the president, so he must support the initiatives of the president, and going against those things sijui hiyo kizungu nyingi wenye walikuwa natuambia. So me, I would tell the hustlers, you don't have one father and you don't have one mother. Kivuza Kibwana is there pushing your plight. You understand? GLORIA ORWOBA is every day sitting and sensitizing people, telling them, ikitu, you are being conned. This is conmanship. There are many other people, like in GERALD Bitok say, akina Martha Karua, na bedhe even, ikitu munadharau Martha Karua, ati sijui is a comeback, nini. Martha Karua is the trump card that is going to changanisha this election come 2022. Itawachanganisha watu washangae hizi votes zimeenda wapi. You continue, endeleni kudharau wa mama kama Martha Karua, and I'm telling you, those are the people you should be watching. So at the end of the day, even if the king of all hustlers, William Ruto, decides to go a certain direction, that is his. Iyo ni yake. Sisi tunajua vizuri as the youth. The Youth Commission is not going to do anything different from what the National Youth Council is doing now. So as we know, there is nothing in there for the youth. Those 5 expanded seats that they are saying we are going to have prime ministers, who watu wote. Hakuna mahali youth wameambiwa watapewa kiti moja. When it comes to the women, hakuna mahali tumeambiwa you know, so may I tell the youth, it doesn't, wacha kusema ati nita support kwa sababu baba amesupport, ama nita oppose kwa sababu William Ruto ameoppose. Weka chini ujiulize, ni siku gani sasa utakaa chini ujiulize now,
what is it for me?
Yeah, what is it in it for me? Because akina Alex Matere and all these other youth cartels, them, they know why every day they go to studio and push for that thing, because they've been promised things. So you, who has promised you anything? Hakuna mtu amekupromise anything. Kwa hivyo wewe hiyo kitu kwanza usijaribu kuenda kupiga kura juu, kwa sababu kama hawajadeal na hizo issues za IEBC, you going to vote is actually you going to give them a means to steal a vote. So you stay away from ile kitu yenye Raila alisema, we are going to withdraw our voting power.
And you know,
atupeleki kura kwa sababu tukipeleka kura mnatuibia. Mimi naambia youth, msipeleke kura, mnapeleka kura wapi?
Ya kazi gani? Mucheendu, what do you expect from the meeting today?
Let me first of all look at now that Gloria has brought about the issue of IEBC. One of the major problems that has brought this country to its knees is our system of election. Who has been at the center stage of a failed elections? All of us blame the IEBC. And I ask myself, isn't this BBI setting out the IEBC to fail? No, listen, in 2 years, actually less than 2 years, the IEBC is supposed to be reconstituted because it only has 3 commissioners today instead of the 7. This IEBC is required to actually execute a referendum. This IEBC, if you look at the schedule in the schedules of this particular amendment, constitutional amendment bill 2010, if you look at Bitok, you look at the schedule of this particular document, the second schedule, section 74, it is saying transnational and consequential provisions. 1, the elimination of number of constituencies, and it says within 6 months of the commencement date of this act, the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission shall, subject to subsection 2, determine the boundaries of the additional 70 constituencies created in Article 89(1) using the criteria provided for in Article 81D and Article 87(7). This IEBC Bitok is supposed to, first of all, being reconstituted, take up a referendum, actually do a boundary review, which would involve public participation, and successfully conduct the 2022 general election. Are we not setting out IEBC to fail? And then it is very ironical that the 70 constituencies are supposed to be created using the criteria provided for by Article 81 and Article 87(7). What does Article 81 and Article 87 talk about? They talk about the qualifications of a certain geographical area becoming a constituency. This constitution, if we were to implement it to the letter, we are supposed to scrap about 32 constituencies first. Constituencies in Central, we would lose a constituency like Daragua that does not qualify as a constituency. We would lose a constituency like Madhioya, which does not qualify. We will lose a constituency like Tetu, which does not qualify. We will lose a constituency like, Mokoroweine, which does not qualify. We have quite a number of constituencies that do not meet this criteria. But somehow, we are saving those constituencies, about 36 or 37 of them, we are saving them while we are creating some other 70 constituencies using the same criteria. Why can't we use that criteria, first of all, to look at the 290 constituencies that are already existing? So therefore, you are putting IEBC in a place where you are setting it to fail. And if IEBC fails, it doesn't matter whether BBI is there. If IEBC fails, we will have a failed election. And a failed election means that we are back to square zero, where we have been with these skirmishes. To your question, Bitok, about today's meeting, I expect that the Deputy President and his allies will insist on consensus. They will insist on an uncontested referendum. They will insist that we must not set these people against those. This constitutional amendment must not be us versus them. It must be about Kenyans. It must be about the interest of this republic. It must be the interest of Wanjiko. And I told you that this particular BBI has run away from 2 major things that are supposed to be at the center of this republic. One of the things that this constitution amendment has run away from is the issue of land. The land issue is the biggest issue in this republic. This particular document has not brought provisions to compel Parliament and the government to make the Dongo Land report public.
And you know what is strange? Out of how many chapters do we have wasomaji wa katiba? How many chapters do we have in the constitution? Is it 18? How many do we have?
It should be 18.
The constitution is there.
I think only 3 have not been touched. That is it chapter ile sovereignty of people?
Yes.
With the people.
With the people. Na hiyo wengine yenye unaona they were very curiously quiet about was the chapter that deals with everything land. What is that chapter? Wasomaji wanaelewa. So na mimi nikakaa chini nikajiuliza kama hii kitu really it's about building bridges. A majority of the conflicts that we have, the historical injustices that we have
is on land.
Even when you go back to 2007, 2008 post-election violence, and you ujue tulikuwa na how many IDPs, but these things, the conflict at the end of the day, even if we fought about whether it is nani alishindwa this election or whatever, it boils down to watu walifukuzwa wapi kutoka shamba zao. It boils down to these people do not belong here, so we want them to go back to where they came from. So it was very, very strange, and I questioned it and I said, why did they stay away from the issues of land, and why did they chapter 5 of the constitution, yes. And why did they think that if we are not going to resolve a majority of our historical injustices, and that is why the reason you hear the pastoralists are one of the groups that have come forward opposing it, because you are not really addressing the issue that is bringing conflict amongst the different 47 tribes that we have in this country. So at the end of the day, ile kitu ya kutuambia ati this was about building bridges, first of all, that was the first con game. That was the first thing. Hiyo kitu ya kusema that we needed former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to go and shake the hand of our President Uhuru Kenyatta for us to have peace. That was the number 2 conmanship, because then you are saying, and I'm not afraid of saying this, then you are saying that 50 million Kenyans don't matter. That 50 million Kenyans were not at peace until Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta actually went and had that handshake. In fact, it was very shocking even for the people who were supporting either side of the divide, because suddenly watu walikuwa nasema si hata sisi tuende handshake, kwani us we are not befitting, kwani sisi hatujafika hiyo level, kwani we don't control an amount of influence within our communities. So for me, the handshake might have been the symbol of introducing the initiative, because again, it is politics. We like pomp and glare and symbolism and all those things. But when they came down to drafting a document, when they came down to talking about the actual issues, we were expecting to see that, for instance, the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission was not just going to be mentioned on page 16 of the BBI, but they said in the BBI that we shall implement the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission. Did I need a document to tell me that that is what is needed to be done? When you read the report, the TGRC report, and even the mechanisms that they have put in terms of the things that need to be implemented to ensure we no longer have those kinds of conflicts, and that the victims of that violence were actually compensated and they felt that they got justice, you will see that if we implemented the TGRC report, if we implemented the Dung report, if we implemented ile ingine inakuanga ni wako ama inakuanga waki report, if we implemented reported, we are not in deficit of reports. If we just took those in fact, I was hoping wangesema we have shaken these hands and we have said we must come together, and what we are doing, we are going back to the shelves
to fix
and
the skeletons,
taking all those reports, and we are now going to show the goodwill to implement these reports. And by the way, Bitok, allow me to say this. The reason I keep saying it is conmanship and there's no real good intent, we have certain agencies like the Victim Protection Board. The Victim Protection Board is a state agency that is actually, whose mandate is there to ensure that the victims of human rights abuse are protected, that their cases are heard, that they have legal representation in the sense that, you're not marginalized, you are a victim, alafu bado unakuja unakuwa disadvantaged because you don't even have proper representation. That board, it has taken us so long to ensure that that board has taken off, that that board is empowered, that that board is being given resources. So when you come and say, okay, now we are going to look at the victims, we are going to do this, we are going to do, and yet the frameworks that government has currently are not being empowered. That is what I say is conmanship, because you are actually deceiving us. Yeah.
Right. Hata tuangalie comments tukirudi, twende kwa magazeti. I can see, let me just look it up very quickly. I'll start from Mutayara Mona says Lucia, all right. Lucia says Governor Muchendu, I'm selling chills. I think ulipeana ya Maina Kamanda. Cheptap Kibiri says good morning. Good morning to you. Odobojike Malema sema kwisha sisi. Haya. Lesialo Letayana sema usually like the argument of this man Muchendu. David Kamau, that's the biggest joke ever. Mambo ya Maina Kamanda kuwa in charge of cohesion. Jamaa wa disco ya mwenyewe Dan anasema it's a good morning. Good morning to you Dan. Team June anasema the problem started from there, that is on Maina Kamanda being the chair of cohesion. Tarus 2 says GERALD BITOK serious joke with Jubilee government. Christopher Sang anasema Lucia Yellow the remote location yako is sign on. Alright. Charles Limu anasema which channel is this we tune? You are already here. You don't need to tune anywhere. Mutala says ameshafika. Nyaboga Peter anasema I'm watching you from Naivasha. Thank you so much. Manuel Omenge anasema watching from Boston. Thank you so much. Joel Arama anasema Muchendu is practicing selective amnesia. That's on William Ruto. Abbas Nyuguna says the DP says he has issues with the document. He has never said it's good or bad in totality. Benedict Okino says Gloria, you deserve to be the youth leader. Alex Matere is a political broker. Right, umeshapewa kiti. George Kinyanju says this forum is for campaigning for Ruto and bashing Uhuru. So sad. Right, I don't know then why you find yourself here every day. Sorry for another day. I will not trust Martha Karua with constitution matters any day. As Joel Rama from the USA. Maskil may say there are better things to do with my signature. Amesema hizi peana signature yake. Matthias Jebo anasema Maximali right. Maximali my friend. Aska Mebur says you nailed the question of gender in BBI Gloria. Dishing out positions to women is not empowerment at all. You say kuatopia. Yes, dishing out appointments is not a solution to women. Joel Rama says do we need politicians to tell us what is wrong or what is right? All right. Max Kimeli anasema GBS laws are not cows. We know why we are supporting WSR. Susan Jerry says I'll vote for Martha Karua. Anasema PD Chimsema anasema the silent majority are listening loud and clear. Muhandis Karim says on BBI let politicians stick to one corner and face Kenyans. That would be a straight no. Alright. Susan Jiraini says 1 is Ruta, 2 is Martha Karua, 3 nobody. Alright. Matthias Cheboy, Gloria is such a wonderful panelist, Iron Lady. Wow. Robert Kidum says Aslas are not cows. Ruta will say is my end. Pia sisi tuko na yetu. Wilfred the Opila says youths have a lot of democracy that we don't know what to do with them. Now we focus on wrong picture, no yes campaigns without talking what we really want, without putting our issues on the table. Maxime says Kwanza who told you Ruta is supporting. Lobele Joel anasema what listening clear and open minds. Thank you so much. Boniza Longo says BBI is a scam meant to complicate and bring confusion in this country. Punguza Mzigo initiative is the way to go. Makafeli don't say that we are finished. That is on Maina Kamanda. Makaveli the don anasema toka pale Kata. William Mwangi some very sober panelist. That is what we call true patriotism, not love attached by self-interest. Ernest Kiblaga says the BBI is all about next general elections. I differ with anyone who says we will do general elections 2022. It wouldn't be possible if I told we have referendum come next. If I told this referendum passes and IEBC and public participation need a good time to create boundaries for the new constituencies. Government knows better. They want to remain in power after 2022 and set a later date for the elections. As I said on the standard, there was the election dilemma. Election day dilemma. Maybe you guys will also have to touch in on that. Maximal says the first election was nullified. Second, Raila boycotted. Why Anshek against nullified elections? He did not participate. If Anshek was to happen, then Ekuru angekuwa na haki. Hiyo yote ni conmanship. DB told us otherwise ni bullshit.
Huyo apewe kwanza soda kubwa. That is a thought.
Maximal amesema ukunywa madiaba. Enes Gola anasema we'll only do our next general election in 2023 beyond. Milton Oguti anasema good morning Tetako watching from Nairobi hapo. Asante sana Milton Oguti. Emmanuel Omenge the BBI protagonist had international sanctions against them and they had to come up with something to show why they had handshake. It's a fraud. The 9-point agenda is not reflected in the BBI. Joshua Sapusa is waiting for the signal from the ASLA today. All right. Abbas Martin kindly address and let Kenyans know that chiefs and assistant chiefs have been given a target in terms of collecting signatures. They are even forcing people to sign or be denied services. A government using dictatorship on its people for their own selfish. By the way, if you have any case or any scenario where you've been forced to give out your signature, just post on my wall, post on our address.
In fact, you should please ask them to document it.
Yes.
Well, because wanashinda wakisema wapi tuliona
wapi. Uambie ni wapi. Mahali unasema lazimisha tell us where it is, your location, post it on my page, just enda tu pale kwa wall, post it on my wall. I'll look at it and then I'll address that. If you have any issue where a public servant has forced you to give out their signatures, whether it's a parastatal, whether it's in office of Chiefs GNN, if you have any of that incident, please post it on my wall. I'll pick it up. Councillor Tarus to I don't trust the document. It's all about conmanship. Yangu in a way election at 2022. Alright, amesema hizi peana signature. Alright, let's talk about the dilemma of voting dates, by the way, before you go to the newspapers even. I'll start with you, Muchendu, because we're just from Gloria, I think.
You know, if you ask me, why should we have a dilemma of...
Are we having elections in 2022?
No, the question is, why should we have a dilemma of the election date when it is clearly specified in the Constitution? I think it is somebody wants to start a narrative where we can start discussing postponement of election. That is utmost disrespect to this supreme document by Kenyan. It is clearly stating when the next election ought to be held. There is nothing that supersedes the right of a Kenyan to elect and choose a leader of her or his choice. Therefore, when this constitution envisioned and put a date of election here, they wanted to safeguard the interest of the larger Kenyan citizenry so that they can exercise their liberty to vote. So therefore, I do not see why we should have a problem with the election date. We have had, in the midst of the pandemic, we have had about 16 or 17 countries undertake their general elections.
Remember at the beginning of this whole building bridges initiative thing, at the very beginning, I think the first document or the first narrative that came out from the when they were testing the waters, they were saying that in the event that they pass these amendments and they expand the executive and they do all the things that they want to do with butchering our constitution, they were saying that then we will need a 1-year transition period where the current leaders and the current president and the current everybody ni kama watakuwa status quo, watakaa hapo kwanza in the guise of helping us transition from one constitution to another. So then I remember having this conversation with my learned friends who are trying to educate me on constitution matters. And they were saying, you know, when you're having an expanded executive and when you're having such serious changes being done, you can't just imagine that you will shift from one type of constitution to the next. So that is the reason we must not have a vacuum of power. So that is the reason that 1-year transition period was being proposed. But in essence, if you ask me, people who have been in power for their personal interests, wamefika mahali, their agendas, their personal agendas, their personal commercial agendas need more time. Hii ni ile kitu yenye umeambiwa by the way Gerald, your term is coming to an end in December, alafu kaamka ukakumbuka my goodness na sijaiba ile pesa ya nini COVID. So you start looking for ways to extend that your term so that you can kind of hata ukipata 12 months hivi 14 months then you can conclude. You can conclude your stealing. You can conclude your corrupt ways. You can conclude your legacy, which really is about ensuring that your children and your children's children and your greatest grandchildren, the only thing they have to do is put their feet up and live off of the monies that you have plundered. And for me, I thought to myself, by the way, there's a thing out there that people are saying Tanga Brigade is really doing everything to complicate this thing so that they can buy time until we cannot have a referendum before elections. I would like to clap for that Tanga Brigade, and I want to have more people, the civil society, whoever, waingie kwa hiyo bandwagon, because if the only way we can defeat this monster called Building Bridges Initiative is by causing confusion and delays and everything, then by all means, because at the end of the day, we have to think about it this way. If now we are looking at a situation that someone is trying to mess with our election dates, someone is trying to put this country in a state of anxiety where we don't know who's leading, where we are going, and someone is trying to destabilize us, then we must fight to protect this constitution, and we must fight to protect the peace and stability of this country. So for me, anybody who is ensuring that we never go back to that state of 2007, 2008, because Gerald, I was in this country, I was very heavily pregnant, giving birth to my 12-year-old son. If I have to think of a situation like that, where I could not even access my hospital when I was in labor because of the fear of being attacked on the way to hospital, where I was nervous about who is operating on me, whether ni Mkikuyu ama ni Mjaluo ama ni Mkamba, whether to the point that after I got out of that theater, which was a very terrifying experience, that I had to ensure that my door was constantly locked, because we don't know who is going to walk in and eliminate whichever side of the tribe that is in conflict. I don't want to be there anymore, and Kenyans don't want to be there anymore. So if 2 or 3 people are thinking that they are going to use the fear narrative, that narrative of, we can't be like South Sudan, we can't be like so and so. Kenyans are very woke. Wanasemanga, au rich kid, wanasemanga we are woke. Kenyans are very, very woke. And we are saying, you're not going to sell that fear narrative. And you're not going to push us to a corner where we feel that the only thing we can do is butcher our constitution so that we don't go back to 2007, 2008. We are woke, yani tumeamka, tumeomoka ama nini ama all of those ones, and we are tunawaangalia hivi tu, tunangojea hiyo referendum muone the way we are going to desist from even showing up to vote.
Right. Mshendu, kuna jambo?
Niende
kwa gazeti.
I think there is that cabal that believes that this country belongs to them. And this cabal is the same cabal that has ruled this country and has put us on our knees. And I think, as Gloria has said, there are people who have woke up to the reality that their time to control the strings of power in this country is coming to an end. And they will look for everything possible to ensure that they continue holding to that string, including bringing a narrative purportedly to have a discussion about a change of the election date. Well, this, if they were too clever enough to do it, they should have put it in this document of theirs. Yeah, they should have put it in this document of theirs. But because they knew if they put it there, Kenyans will overwhelmingly reject that narrative, they could not put it. But we want to tell them, anybody who is sitting pretty in the office and thinking that he or she is going to change the election date in this country must wake up and think again. Because this is a fundamental right provided for by the Constitution of Kenya. And therefore, nobody should actually sit down. In fact, if it is only the president who has been given a small leeway to change the date. And that is if we have a national emergency. And even so, he can only do it, I think, with 6 months, not more than 6 months. So we don't know which national emergency they are going to come up with, because when they were supposed to declare coronavirus a national emergency, they didn't. So we don't know what emergency they are going to come up with. But we welcome them. If they want to create an emergency, let them go ahead and create it. It will only extend the date of election by 6 months. But still, that emergency has to be okayed by Parliament. And we put Parliament on notice. If the President introduces a motion to okay an emergency and you people sanitize it, tupatane kwa ground.
Watajua hawajui.
Wacha
tusikie simu. Hello, good morning.
BJERRING, good evening.
Good evening to you, sir.
How are you?
Salama sana, niambie. Huko ni morning.
I know it's morning bwana. Nyinyi watu hamtaki mimi nilale bwana. Unaleta siasa kali sana.
Ni vizuri, najua watu wa diaspora nyinyi ndio mtatuambia hii Kenya kutaenda vipi.
Sasa hii Kenya yetu bwana, mimi I'm very much worried about our country. And I'm worried in one aspect. Kuna kitu inaitwa mti wetu syndrome. At the end of the day, Kenyans, we always run to our respective corners. And respond and protect and support our tribal chiefs. If we are not going to desist from that, and see, like Gloria said, ask what does this BBI do for me? If we are not going to ask that question ourselves and be honest and say, you know what, this thing is not working, let's kick it out, we are going to be in the same, and I can assure you 4 years down the line, 2 years down the line, we'll be talking about the same thing, another form of BBI forum or another form of BBI referendum a few years down the line again. But until we acknowledge that all these people have failed us, and we need to kick them out. I don't care who you are supporting right now. And number one, who you, number two, and the number three, nobody. Please, these people have not helped us in any way. They have sold us down the drain. They have amassed wealth everywhere. Yani, you cannot, there is nothing you can tell me that these people, these so-called leaders right now are going to help us. Look at even the parliament, the way the laws they enact. People forget. When the so-called Tangatanga was in power, they passed laws that was providing lethal weapons to police to shoot people for demonstrating for their right. And then a few months later, they forgot, you know, that phrase that says, hey, when you are creating a law, create a law for your worst enemy, because you never know when that law will be used against you. The same people who are shouting, Aginakuri are shouting, oh, we have empowered the police, they should go and buy more tear gas. A few months down the line, the same tear gas. You forget kwamba what you do today is going to affect you tomorrow, or is going to affect your children or your grandchildren or somebody else. If we are not going to feel and think in that line kwamba, we need to build a Kenya just not only for us, for future generations. I want to be in a place where I win on ideas and things that I can promise people that I can be able to effectively implement. If I don't do it, social contract, kick me out. But sasa every time tunafika siku ya kura ni kama kila mtu amerogwa. Mtu wetu. Even if mtu wenu kila siku, you have never seen this guy. I told you the other day, I gave you an example of my local MP mwenye he is only seen once during election time. But every time consistently he's still being voted back in. People forget. But until we get to that point whereby we acknowledge these people have failed us and we kick them out, surely, like Muchendu said, how can you put Maina commander in charge of cohesion? Jamani, it's not even a joke. I mean, please, you know, I feel sometimes I get to a point, these are the same people. Remember, Kenyans forget, remember, the same MPs, when it comes to increasing their benefits and salaries, it's 100% voting and kila mtu anattend. Hata kama mtu alikuwa anaenda sijui Harambee wapi, siku hiyo hataenda. They will be in parliament, everybody, fully, to vote for their benefits. But when the doctors say, hey, we are dying, we don't have equipment. Oh, the government has no money. Watu wanapiga kelele, police deal with them. And then the same policeman, you go beat somebody, alafu jioni unapigiwa simu unaambiwa, your mother, your sister is sick, she's supposed to be in the hospital. Daktari mwenye ulitandika, ndiye anafaa kwenda kumtibu, atatoka wapi na kumtibu, ulimchapa ako kwa cell. I remember when the COVID started and the curfew, I could not imagine a whole police contingent beating nurses and doctors who are coming off duty just because wamekuwa late for curfew. They have uniform, they have IDs, but you still beat them ati munafungwa because you are late for curfew. What happened to us? What happens to our humanity? So anyway, we will talk more. I know I'm looking forward to our session tomorrow.
Yeah,
but I just want to thank you so much. Watu wangu wajaongea, lakini I hope they will show up. I'll remind them again today. I will remind them again. But thank you so much, Gloria. It's nice to see you give a contribution. I just wanted to tell you something. I made a comment, and I want to just for my comment. When I remember what Martha Karua did when she was in charge of the Constitution and swearing in a president in the middle of the night, well, it was not the middle of the night, but Samoja Usiku, that to me knocks her out from anything. We can have.
I want to tell you that if you can forgive Raila Odinga for ignoring our resist movements and shaking the hand of Uhuru Kenyatta.
Gloria, I've not. That's the thing is, I've not forgiven.
My brother.
If you can forgive Raila Odinga for that very big tuliona, unajua sisi hata tuliacha kukunywa Brookside
karibu mkuve marasa
Safaricom lines hizo vitu. Imagine alafu tukaamka tukaona Raila Odinga atiamenda to shake hands and he has accepted and this and that, and we could forgive him. If we can forgive him for that, we can forgive Martha Karua.
My brother
Gloria, let me Muchendu, just give me 1 second.
All right.
Gloria, I'll give you a challenge. If Martha Karua can come to Tako and apologize to Kenyans for what she did that time, then we will forgive her. As long as she doesn't apologize, no.
but my brother, I feel like you are actually applying interior motive on the former justice minister, because even with the old constitution, the minister had no role in swearing in the president. The president was sworn in by the then Chief Justice. And therefore, listen, I do not want to imply that Martha Karua did not have a role. Yes, but in the actual fact is that Martha Karua was a servant of the then government.
No.
She was an appointee.
Muchendu, this is nothing. You cannot give a business justification to any of this. The only thing I can say is happening is this is an issue of patriarchy.
Yes.
Men can get away with murder. Men can get away with murder, but when a woman sneezes the wrong way, that seems like she has corona, munakuja hapo Kenyans on Twitter, munakuja. No, it is not fair. That one I will stand with Martha Karua. We have forgiven men for worse crimes. We have forgiven Raila Odinga for the worst that you can imagine. And so mtapona hii kitu ya Karua, mpone, you bring her back on board. Mtapona.
But then the best years of Moi Kibaki was actually after he was sworn in that second swearing in ceremony. That is the best we experienced in economy recovery process. You know, I'm just saying. Yes.
Muchendu,
yes.
I get your point on economics, but my image cannot erase the bodies of kids who are piled at city mortuary and other mortuaries, images online and everywhere else. That one cannot get out of my head.
Unfortunately,
now, Gloria,
the
I'll go back to your
culprits.
point.
Let him go back to the point. Yes.
Real quick. Gloria, instead of why are you championing Martha Karua and you are there capable to do everything? Jamani, why do you people?
Let me tell you why.
Push other people when you are there?
No. Let me tell you why. There is this notion that people believe that all women are there to sabotage their fellow women. I'm not that kind of a person. I believe that Martha Karua, in her rightful senses, actually can lead this country, and I believe that Martha Karua is a force that we should reckon. And just because I'm also in the same space trying to create, you know, sisi hapa tuko youth, tunajaribu, we are struggling, we are amateurs, we don't even know what this propaganda looks like. She is the reason why some of us can come to this studio and speak authoritatively. She paved that way for some of us, so I respect that. And I want to say that this thing of patriarchy, where men can get away with murder, but women cannot get away with wearing a flower on their head. We need to stop it. So forgive Martha Karua, please. We are in 2020. Tumeshapona, tumesema
hata wale wenye walipigana wamesalimiana, kina baba.
Tumesalimiana kina baba, tumerudisha Safaricom lines na tunakunywa Brookside. So now let us move forward.
Na tunatumia gas ya inaitwa ni Spectra.
Gloria, leta Martha Karua kwa Tako. Leta Martha Karua kwa Tako. We need to Tako on Tako.
Wanakuja next week. Wanakuja kikundi ya Linda Katiba inakuja next week. Martha Karua, Cheruto Chei, David D, they'll be here next week. So ndio utauliza sasa swali ni wapi waliingiliana na hii maneno.
Yes, that one. Mimi si hata sitamuuliza swali. I just want her to apologize. That's all. Even if I find Raila, if you bring Raila today to Tako, I'll tell him the same thing. He needs to apologize to Kenyans.
Utaambia nini baba akikuja?
Akikuja nitamwambia omba msamaha. You need to apologize.
Sasa yeye lakuja baba aseme pole.
Lazima. Same thing, even if it's William Ruto, I'll tell him the same thing. If it's Uhuru Kenyatta, you know, my fellow Kenyans, I'll tell him the same. You bring Musalia Mudavadi, I'll tell him the same, because these are people who have failed the country.
All right.
They need to apologize to Kenyans.
Asante sana ndugu yangu. Thank you so much for coming in. Salimia watu wa diaspora. Na upange kazi ya kesho haraka upesi.
Ndio niingia sasa hii mtandao naanza kutuma messages.
Sasa ndugu yangu, have a good evening.
Okay.